are not incorrect, as the Prime Minister conceded. Does the Prime Minister think that it's appropriate that the average dairy farmer paid half the level of tax that was paid by a married couple earning superannuation only?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I just don't accept the proposition put up by the Leader of the Opposition. And as I say, to quote from Dairy New Zealand, who probably have a pretty good idea on these things, the average paid has been about $300 million in tax by dairy farms. The average dairy farmer is paying about $28,000 in tax, I think I saw from the release.
Question number 2, Louise. I beg your pardon.
Mr Speaker.
My apologies. We go first to Dr Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does the Prime Minister agree that what stands behind the figures on the front page of the Dom Post today was that a lot of farming in New Zealand is done for capital gains, and that's where a lot of the income comes from, and under our current tax arrangement there is no taxation of those capital gains?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, it's not true actually. There's no taxation of capital gains in New Zealand. If someone buys a farm with the intention of selling it, then that would be subject to capital gains. It's not subject to capital gains if they're undertaking the farming business, and that is typical of many industries in New Zealand.
Stuart Nash.
Was the Minister of Revenue correct?
Order. I say to the National Party backbench, I want to hear the question from Stuart Nash.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Was the Minister of Revenue correct in his answer to written question 2383 when he stated that the total tax paid by the dairying, other livestock farming, viticulture, horticulture and service to agriculture industries totalled $247 million for the 2009 tax year, compared to $486 million worth of tax for the mining industry?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I'm sure the Minister of Revenue is right. He provides the right answer to all these questions. But I say once more to the member, ever since Walter Nash was Prime Minister, we've been taxing people on profits, not revenue and turnover.
Dr Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Dr Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Prime Minister stand by his answer to me given in this House yesterday with regard to the fiscal impact of the last two budgets, where he said that over the 4-year forecast period there will be an increase in net revenue of $1 billion, when the budget papers released by the Minister of Finance just last year's budget show that the net fiscal impact over 4 years would be a loss of $1 billion in revenue?
The Right Honourable Prime
Minister. In fact, actually, the correct answer, Mr Speaker, is it's a positive $4.8 billion over that period. What I should have actually correctly said was an average gain of $1 billion a year.
Question number 2, Louise Upston.
Thank you,